The massive chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as Ambassador Thomas stood before the gathered representatives of 300 alien species. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped the podium tightly. The latest set of restrictions against dangerous species lay on the display before him. "So this is your final decision?" he asked, his voice echoing through the chamber. "You wish to restrict human movement to only 3 systems, demand we disarm our colonies, and place monitors on all our ships." High Counselor Blue, a tall being with crystalline features, nodded slowly. "Your species comes from a death world. You are too unpredictable, too violent. These measures are for the greater good of the galaxy." Thomas looked around the chamber. Most species there evolved on gentle worlds with perfect weather and few predators. They never understood how Earth had shaped humanity. They never grasped why humans could survive conditions that would kill most aliens. "We have been peaceful members of this council for 50 years, Thomas said. "We have shared our medical knowledge, helped with disaster relief, and fought alongside you against the space pirates. And this is how you repay us." "Your help is appreciated," Blue replied, "but your very nature makes other species uncomfortable. Just last week, a human lifted a transport vehicle to save a child. Such strength is unnatural, dangerous." Thomas laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You fear us because one of us saved a life, because we're stronger than you expected." "We fear you because you are unpredictable," another counselor shouted. "Your entertainment shows violence. Your history is full of wars. You smile when you're happy and when you're about to attack. How can we trust such beings?" The chamber erupted in shouts of agreement. Thomas waited for the noise to die down. He thought about Earth's long history, about how humanity had survived ice ages, predators, diseases, and its own violent nature to reach the stars. They had worked hard to be peaceful, to be diplomatic. But now, "Let me be clear," Thomas said. "If you pass these restrictions, if you try to cage humanity, you will regret it. We have been patient. We have been kind. We have played by your rules. But do not mistake our peaceful nature for weakness." "Is that a threat, Ambassador?" Blue asked, eyes narrowing. "No, it's a warning. You call Earth a death world. You're right. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day. We survived predators that would make your soldiers faint. We built civilizations in places you can't even visit without protective suits. And we learned something your people never had to learn." Thomas leaned forward, his voice dropping lower. "We learned how to fight, how to survive, how to win. Don't make us show you what that means." The council voted anyway. The restrictions passed with an overwhelming majority. As alarms blared announcing the vote's result, Thomas removed his council badge and dropped it on the floor. "We are withdrawing from the Galactic Council," he announced. "What happens next is on your heads." He walked out of the chamber as the aliens shouted behind him. In his pocket, his communicator buzzed. The first attacks had already begun. 3 human mining colonies had been blockaded by alien warships. 2 research stations had been ordered to shut down. They thought they were being cautious. They thought they were containing a threat. Instead, they had just started something they couldn't finish. As Thomas boarded his ship for the return to Earth, he sent one final message to the human colonies across the galaxy. Protocol Alpha 7 is now in effect. The gloves are coming off. In the vast darkness of space, humanity's hidden fleets began to power up. In underground bases across 100 worlds, sealed weapons vaults opened for the first time in decades. And on Earth, the old war machines began to wake. The galaxy had pushed too far. Now they would learn why you should never corner a species that evolved on a death world. Total war was coming. The emergency broadcast cut through every channel on Earth and its colonies. On billions of screens, General Walker stood in his formal uniform, medals gleaming under the lights. "Citizens of Earth and her colonies, for 50 years we have sought peace among the stars. Today that peace has been shattered. The Galactic Council has chosen to treat us as enemies, to cage us like animals. They fear what they don't understand. Now, they will learn to fear what they have created. In underground bases across Earth, massive blast doors opened for the first time in decades. Hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt shed their camouflage nets. On Mars, entire mountains split apart, revealing the war factories humanity had built while pretending to only mine iron ore. Project Guardian is now active, Walker announced. All military personnel, report to your designated stations. All civilian ships, activate your defense protocols. The time for hiding our strength is over. In orbit around Jupiter, humanity's true fleet emerged from its hiding places. Not the small patrol ships the aliens had seen, but massive warships built in secret. Their hulls were painted with dark matter absorption coating, making them nearly invisible to alien sensors. Each one carried enough firepower to level a city. On the moon, the giant doors of Armstrong Base opened wide. Tens of thousands of battle mechs, powered by fusion cores and piloted by veterans who had trained in secret for years, marched out into the lunar darkness. Their footsteps made no sound in the vacuum, but the sight would have chilled any alien observer to their core. For half a century, we prepared, Walker continued. While they thought we were just another spacefaring race, we built. While they dismissed us as primitive, we planned. While they looked down on our Deathworld heritage, we remembered the lessons our harsh world taught us. In private bunkers across Earth, political leaders gathered. Within hours, the Emergency Unity Protocol was activated. Old nations set aside their differences as humanity faced its first true interstellar war. Resources were pooled, armies combined, and research facilities linked. The aliens had never seen humans fight a total war. They didn't understand that humans had spent most of their history fighting each other, perfecting the art of warfare. They didn't know that every civilian ship had military-grade shields, or that every human colony had hidden bunkers filled with weapons. To our enemies, know this. Walker's voice grew harder. You attacked our mining colonies thinking they were defenseless. Those miners are veterans of the Mars Rebellion. You blockaded our research stations, believing them peaceful. Those scientists developed weapons that make your strongest shields look like paper. Deep in the Pacific Ocean, massive underwater hangars activated. Submarine carriers, each holding dozens of space-capable fighters, began their silent journey to hidden launch points. In the Amazon, camouflaged launch sites prepared to send thousands of autonomous combat drones into space. You thought you knew humanity's strength. You saw what we wanted you to see, a peaceful species trying to forget its violent past. But we never forgot. We never stopped preparing, because we evolved on a world that taught us one crucial lesson. Peace is precious precisely because it must be defended. The first reports of battle came from the blockaded colonies. The alien ships had expected an easy operation, a simple show of force. Instead, they found entire mining fleets suddenly transforming into combat configurations, their drilling lasers becoming weapons more powerful than anything the aliens had. The helpless miners emerged in powered armor that could shrug off heavy weapons fire. This is not a war of conquest, Walker concluded. This is not about vengeance. This is about survival. They wanted to cage us, to control us, to make us less than what we are. Instead, they will learn why Earth is called a death world, why humanity survived when so many other species on our planet did not. As the broadcast ended, humanity's hidden strength fully awakened. The giant had slept for 50 years, playing at peace while keeping its weapons close. Now, roused to war, it would show the galaxy why you should never threaten a species that evolved fighting for every breath, every meal, every day of survival. The Deathworlders were going to war. Operation Thunderclap began exactly 48 hours after Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Council. The alien blockade fleet around New Eden Colony had no warning. One moment, their sensors showed empty space. The next, 30 human warships appeared from nowhere, their stealth systems finally deactivated. This is Captain Reynolds of the Earth Defense Force. The transmission cut across all frequencies. You have 10 minutes to surrender and withdraw. This is your only warning." The alien commander, a veteran of border skirmishes, laughed at the humans' boldness. His fleet outnumbered the humans 3-1. Their shields were rated to withstand any known human weapon. They had no reason to fear these Deathworlders. 9 minutes later, he learned how wrong he was. The human ships didn't use standard energy weapons or missile salvos. Instead, they unleashed something the aliens had never seen before: gravitational lance weapons. The technology had been developed in secret, reverse-engineered from a crashed precursor ship found decades ago. The alien shields, designed to stop energy and physical impacts, did nothing against weapons that distorted space itself. 20 alien ships were torn apart in the first volley. The rest tried to scatter, but the humans had already cut off their escape routes. "All ships, execute pattern Delta," Reynolds ordered. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, their formation shifting like predators cornering prey. They had trained for this moment for years, running endless simulations against alien tactics. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Hidden human fleets emerged at every blockade point, every alien military installation near human space. The attacks were synchronized, giving the enemy no time to warn each other or coordinate a response. At the Centauri Gateway, humanity revealed another secret weapon. What the aliens had thought was a simple trade station suddenly transformed. Massive armor plates sliding into place as weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments. Every human installation had been built with war in mind, disguised as civilian structures. "They're insane," an alien commander transmitted as his ship's systems failed. "They built everything as a weapon. Everything." The message was cut short as his ship's reactor went critical. The humans had targeted the alien vessel's weak points with surgical precision, using detailed scans gathered over years of peaceful trade to identify vulnerabilities. In high orbit around Earth, the Space Command Center tracked the progress of Operation Thunderclap. Green lights flashed across the strategic display as human forces achieved their objectives one by one. Admiral James watched with grim satisfaction as decades of planning finally bore fruit. "Status report," she demanded. "Phase 1 complete, Admiral." Her tactical officer responded. "All blockade fleets neutralized. Minimal casualties on our side. Phase 2 ready to commence on your order." James nodded slowly. Phase 1 had been about protecting human territories. Phase 2 would take the fight to enemy space. The aliens would learn that humans didn't believe in half measures. When humanity went to war, it was with absolute commitment. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered. "And send word to the Council. Tell them this is their last chance to negotiate before we really start fighting." On the frontier world of Horizon, alien troops who had occupied the human colony found themselves facing another surprise. The colonists, who they had dismissed as simple farmers, emerged from hidden bunkers in powered combat armor. Every human colony had a militia, trained by Earth's best soldiers and equipped with weapons that had been smuggled in piece by piece over years. Remember, the colony's defense chief told his people as they prepared to strike, "We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting to show the galaxy that humanity won't be caged, won't be controlled, won't bow down to those who think they can push us around." The first day of the war was ending. Humanity had thrown off its peaceful mask and revealed the sleeping giant beneath. But this was just the beginning. The aliens had wanted to contain humanity's potential for violence. Instead, they had ensured that potential would be fully realized. The Deathworlders had brought war to the stars, and they were just getting started. Deep within Earth's largest remaining manufacturing complex in Detroit, the assembly lines ran day and night. Where once they had built civilian vehicles, they now produced war machines at an unprecedented rate. The entire solar system had become one massive war factory. Commander Wilson walked through the facility, watching robots and human workers transform raw materials into weapons of war. The aliens had never understood humanity's industrial capacity. They didn't know that humans had once converted entire continents to war production during their own world wars. "Report," he ordered, stopping beside the chief engineer. "Production is at 300% of projected capacity," she replied, gesturing at the holographic displays. "The new automated systems are exceeding all expectations. We're turning out a new battleship every 3 days." In orbit, massive space elevators carried materials from Earth to the orbital shipyards. Asteroid mining operations, no longer hiding their true purpose, stripped entire space rocks for resources. Mars, Venus, and the moons of Jupiter had been transformed into industrial powerhouses. But the most significant development was happening in the genetic labs. Dr. Rogers stood before the observation window, watching as the first batch of enhanced soldiers completed their transformation. They had volunteered for the procedure, knowing the risks. "How many survived the process?" Wilson asked, joining her at the window. 98%, she answered. "Much better than our initial projections. The human genome is more adaptable than we thought. These soldiers can now survive in almost any environment, fight in gravity up to 3G, and heal from wounds that would kill a normal human." The aliens had feared humanity's natural abilities. Now they would face humans who had been enhanced beyond their original limitations. Each soldier was a testament to humanity's determination to survive and win at any cost. In the weapons testing facility on Pluto, scientists activated their latest creation. The quantum destabilizer was a weapon that could bypass any known shield technology. They had developed it by studying the fundamental forces of the universe, pushing the boundaries of physics in ways the aliens had never dared. "Begin the test," the lead scientist ordered. The weapon fired, its beam invisible but devastating. The target, a captured alien shield generator, didn't just fail, it ceased to exist at the quantum level. The aliens had thought their technology was superior. They were about to learn differently. Back on Earth, in the Strategic Command Center, General Walker reviewed the latest battle reports. The enhanced soldiers were proving devastatingly effective. Alien forces, used to fighting in controlled conditions, couldn't adapt to human tactics and ferocity. "Show me the status of Project Mountain," he commanded. The holographic display shifted, showing a massive construction project inside Mercury. The planet's intense heat and radiation had kept the aliens from detecting what humanity was building there. A forge capable of producing materials that could only be created in extreme conditions. "The first batch of quantum-hardened armor is ready," his aide reported. "We're retrofitting the fleet as fast as we can. The aliens' weapons won't be effective against it." In the training facilities across Earth and its colonies, new recruits learned to use the advanced weapons and equipment. They were taught by veterans who had spent years studying alien weaknesses, preparing for this moment. "Remember," an instructor told his class, "they think they know what a Deathworlder is. They think it's just about physical strength and endurance. But being a Deathworlder means more than that. It means adapting, surviving, never giving up." The industrial might of humanity was fully awakened. Every factory, every lab, every resource was dedicated to the war effort. The aliens had thought they were dealing with a primitive species that had somehow reached space. Instead, they had awakened a technological and industrial giant that had merely been biding its time. In the void of space, human ships now moved with impunity through alien territory. Their new weapons and defenses made them nearly invincible. The galaxy was learning why Earth had been classified as a death world, not just because of its harsh conditions, but because it had produced a species that could overcome any challenge, adapt to any threat, and turn any resource into a weapon. The forge of war was lit, and humanity was just beginning to show its true capabilities. The alien supply ship never saw the human raiders coming. One moment, it was cruising through supposedly safe space. The next, 3 black ships appeared from the darkness, their stealth systems making them look like holes in space itself. "Please," the alien captain begged, "we're just carrying food and medical supplies." Captain Reynolds of the Raider fleet checked his tactical display. The alien was lying. His sensors showed weapons and shield generators hidden under false cargo containers. Another attempt to smuggle military supplies past human patrols. No quarter for liars, Reynolds responded coldly. You had your chance to surrender honestly. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than a minute. The human ships didn't just destroy the alien vessel. They made sure every sensor in the sector recorded its destruction. Psychological warfare was as much a part of human strategy as actual combat. In the command center on Luna Base, Admiral Carter watched as another sector of alien space descended into chaos. Humanity's strategy of targeting supply lines was working better than expected. The alien empires, used to easy trade and secure routes, were crumbling under the pressure. Show me the status of Operation Starve, she ordered. The holographic map lit up, showing hundreds of trade routes in red. 70% of alien supply lines had been cut. Their economies, built on interspecies trade, were collapsing. Planets that had never known hardship were facing shortages for the first time. Their civilian population is starting to panic, her intelligence officer reported. We're seeing riots on 12 major worlds. Their governments can't maintain order. This was humanity's true weapon, the knowledge of hardship. Humans knew how to survive when supplies ran low. They knew how to adapt when resources were scarce. The aliens, raised in luxury, had no such experience. On the front lines, enhanced human soldiers demonstrated why Earth's military history made them such terrifying enemies. They didn't just fight. They brought centuries of combat experience to every battle. They're using human tactics. An alien commander screamed over an intercepted transmission. They're fighting like the barbarians in their historical records. The aliens had studied human history, but they had never understood it. They saw the violence and warfare as proof of humanity's savage nature. They never realized those conflicts had taught humanity how to wage war on a scale they couldn't imagine. In the Psychological Warfare Division, Dr. Miller reviewed the latest results. The human practice of leaving one survivor to tell the tale was proving devastatingly effective. Alien morale was collapsing as stories of human combat capabilities spread. Show them what we found in the captured databases, she ordered. Across alien communication channels, humanity broadcast the truth. The Galactic Council's own studies had shown humans were right to maintain military readiness. There were ancient threats in the galaxy that the Council had hidden from its members. Humanity's warlike nature wasn't a bug. It was a feature that might save them all. The alien populations, learning they had been lied to by their own leaders, began to turn against the Council. Worlds that had supported the war now called for peace. The carefully maintained order of galactic society was unraveling. In orbit around a contested world, a human fleet faced off against alien defenders. The alien commander expected another brutal battle. Instead, the human ships broadcast a simple message in all languages. Your leaders lie to you. Your supplies are cut off. Your economies are crashing. Surrender now, and we'll ensure your people don't starve. Fight, and we'll let the natural consequences of your leaders' decisions play out. The alien fleet surrendered without firing a shot. They had finally understood something their leaders hadn't. Humans weren't just better at fighting. They were better at surviving. And in a war of survival, that made all the difference. Back on Earth, the War Council received reports of more alien worlds seeking terms of surrender. The strategy was working. By targeting not just military assets but the very foundations of alien society, humanity was winning without having to destroy everything. The galaxy was learning that humans didn't just know how to fight. They knew how to win. And they would use every tool, every strategy, every advantage to ensure their victory. The age of alien superiority was ending, not with a bang, but with the quiet realization that they had never been superior at all. The once mighty Galactic Council chamber lay empty, its grand halls silent except for the echoes of approaching human boots. Admiral Carter walked through the abandoned seats, looking at the places where alien representatives had once voted to cage humanity. "Secure the archives," she ordered her team. "I want every record, every vote, every secret deal they made." The fall of the Council headquarters marked a turning point in the war, not because of its strategic value, but because of what it represented. The mightiest political entity in known space had been broken, not by a massive battle, but by the steady collapse of everything they had built. In the Central Archives, human intelligence officers discovered the truth. The Council's leading members had known about the ancient threats lurking in dark space. They had recognized humanity's potential value as defenders, but had feared humans would take control if they learned the truth. "They chose to weaken us rather than work with us," Carter said, reading the classified files. "Their fear of losing power doomed them." Across the galaxy, the great alien empires were falling one by one, not through direct conquest, but through the systematic destruction of their ability to maintain control. Humanity had studied Earth's own empires and knew exactly how to break them. On the resort world of Paradise, once a playground for the galaxy's elite, human ships arrived not with weapons but with supplies. The planet's population, cut off from their normal luxury shipments, had descended into chaos. The humans restored order, not through force, but through organization and rationing. Skills learned through countless disasters on Earth. "We're not here to destroy you," the human governor announced to the desperate aliens. "We're here to teach you how to survive without your empires." In the former Council military headquarters, General Walker reviewed the surrender documents from another alien fleet. The pattern was always the same. Once their supply lines were cut and their comfortable systems disrupted, their will to fight evaporated. "They never understood what made us different," he told his staff. "They thought we were violent because we chose to be. They never realized we're strong because we had to be." Human adaptability proved to be the decisive factor. While alien armies stuck to their traditional tactics and rigid command structures, human forces constantly evolved their strategies. Each battle taught them new lessons, which they immediately applied to the next engagement. "Report from the Outer Rim," his aide announced. 3 more systems have surrendered. They're requesting human administrators to help maintain order." This was humanity's true victory, not destroying their enemies, but becoming essential to their survival. Planets that had once looked down on Deathworlders now begged for human expertise in crisis management and survival skills. The great alien fleets, once the pride of their empires, now sat idle in their ports. Their crews, seeing the futility of resistance, chose surrender over destruction. Human engineers began the process of adapting these ships for joint operations, teaching their former enemies how to operate them more efficiently. In the Strategic Command Center on Earth, the War Council watched as another empire's government collapsed. Not from military defeat, but from internal pressure as their own populations demanded change. "They're starting to understand," President Morgan observed. "This war was never about conquest. It was about proving we deserved to be treated as equals." The aliens had believed their advanced technology and unified government made them superior. Now they watched as humans demonstrated mastery of adaptation, survival, and warfare that made their own capabilities seem primitive. On 1,000 worlds, the old order was breaking. Alien societies that had never known hardship learned harsh lessons about survival from their human conquerors. But unlike their fears, humans didn't seek to destroy them. They taught them, helped them, showed them how to be stronger. "Begin Phase 7, Morgan ordered. "It's time to show them what peace with humanity really means." The breaking of empires was nearly complete, but unlike the empires of Earth's history, these wouldn't be replaced with new ones. Instead, humanity would forge something new. A galaxy where strength came from adaptation and survival, not from luxury and control. The Deathworlders had won, not just through force of arms, but through the very traits that had made the aliens fear them in the first place. The signing ceremony took place on Earth, a deliberate choice that made many alien representatives uncomfortable. They sat in the rebuilt United Nations chamber, surrounded by examples of human history and achievement, as the new galactic charter was presented. President Morgan stood at the podium, looking at the assembled representatives of formerly mighty empires. Many had lost weight, their bodies showing the stress of recent months. All had learned harsh lessons about survival. The Terra Accords are not about punishment, Morgan began. They are about building a galaxy that's stronger together, one that's ready for the challenges we all know are coming. The terms were surprisingly generous, given humanity's total victory. No reparations were demanded. No territories were permanently seized. Instead, the Accords focused on integration and mutual defense. Your civilizations chose comfort over strength, Morgan continued. You forgot that the universe is not always kind. Earth taught humanity that lesson every day of our evolution. Now we'll teach you how to be stronger. The first change was already visible in the chamber. Human environmental controls had been adjusted to make the room uncomfortable for everyone. Slightly too hot for some species, too cold for others. A reminder that comfort wasn't guaranteed in the real universe. In orbit, the combined fleet exercises had begun. Human officers trained alien crews in adaptive tactics, teaching them to think beyond their rigid military doctrines. Some species were already showing remarkable progress. Each world will maintain its own defense force, Morgan explained. But all will train to human standards. All will learn to survive in conditions outside their comfort zone. Because the threats we face don't care about comfort zones. The alien representatives shifted uneasily at the mention of threats. The classified files from the Council had revealed the truth. Ancient machine intelligences sleeping in dark space, predatory species in suspended animation, and warnings from long-dead civilizations about cycles of extinction. We could have destroyed you, Morgan reminded them. Instead, we chose to make you stronger. The Terra Accords establish a new galactic defense force, with both human and alien personnel. We will face the future together. On screens around the chamber, images showed the changes already taking place. Alien worlds were learning human agricultural techniques, reducing their dependence on mass transport. Human engineers were upgrading alien technologies, making them more resilient and adaptable. Your people feared us because we came from a death world, Morgan said. You never understood that death worlds produce survivors. Now, we'll help your people become survivors too. The education initiatives were perhaps the most ambitious part of the Accords. Human survival knowledge, military history, and adaptation techniques would be taught throughout the galaxy. Not to make others into humans, but to help them find their own strength. Sign these Accords, Morgan concluded, and your worlds will never again know the fear of supply lines being cut. Your people will never again be helpless in the face of hardship. Sign, and become part of something stronger than empires. One by one, the representatives came forward. Some had tears in their eyes, a very human gesture they'd adopted. Others stood proud, having learned to appreciate human strength. All of them signed. In the decades that followed, the galaxy changed. Alien children learned to adapt to different environments in school. Mixed crews became common on spacecraft. Humanity's death world traits spread through the galaxy not by conquest, but by example. The old council chamber was converted into a museum, preserving the moment when fear of humanity's strength had led to a war that reshaped the galaxy. But next door, a new chamber was built, where representatives of all species worked together as equals. And on 1,000 worlds, beings who had once feared humanity's warrior nature now taught their own children to be strong, to be adaptable, to be survivors. The Deathworlders had brought war to the galaxy. But in the end, they had brought something far more valuable: the strength to face whatever challenges the universe held for them all. And in the dark between the stars, as ancient threats began to stir, the galaxy was finally ready, not just because of humanity's strength, but because humanity had taught others to be strong too. The new order was established, and this time it would survive.